Welcome back. It's another exciting installment of On the Couch powered by Supabets. I'm your host, Umjaka. As usual, 20 to 30 minutes hanging out with a special football person, a legend, maybe a superstar, maybe a surprise from outside of the world of football. But today, of course, I've got a legend of the women's game, a legend of the South African football, and of course, a Banyana head coach, Desiree Ellis. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jaka. Thanks for having me, hey?
It's always good to chat to you. I always feel like there's never enough time, and today is even worse than the usual time that we chat. We usually have about an hour to 2 hours. Today we've got 20 to 30 minutes to get through a lot, coach. And I hope you're excited. We had the World Cup in Qatar just recently, coach. I'm sure you watched that.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I think it was one of the most exciting World Cups on the field. You didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, that was exciting for me.
Yeah.
Nowadays the rankings is there, but I don't think it means that much because it's 11 versus 11 on the field. And especially in men's football, because a lot of the players play in top leagues.
Yep.
And that was exciting for me, watching a game and predicting, and the prediction goes the other way.
Oh, you said it, coach. You said it yourself, coach. There's predictions. How did that go for you? It was a nightmare for me, I must tell you up front.
Let me tell you, it was a nightmare for me too, because I've never really been good at predictions.
Yeah.
But you would think that the top teams, the Germanys, the Belgians,
Yes.
would go through, and then, they disappoint and the other team goes through. But at the end of the day, you're only as good as what you do on the field, and your ranking doesn't mean anything.
Did you get somewhat right?
Maybe one or two.
It wasn't easy to navigate this World Cup. Of course, we now switch to your World Cup, coach. It's a big occasion for South Africa. You're going there for the second time. World Cup number 2. You've been to the Olympics. I want to first paint a picture of that. How different is that feeling, now that you've been to both platforms, Olympics and World Cup?
I think the World Cup is a different level.
Yeah.
The Olympics is an international tournament, but a lot of the top players maybe don't always go because it's always in a non-FIFA date. But the World Cup is it's something else. It's just on a different level, administrative, logistically. It's on a different level, completely.
And if you say preparation-wise, now that you say that preparation-wise, is the preparation then also different to how you prepare for a World Cup? Do you select maybe differently? In that's what I mean. Do you select different players building up to a different tournament?
Not necessarily. Yeah. You know who you're going to play against, so you have to prepare for that. At the end of the day, the players, I always say to them, they select themselves with their performances. If the performances are not what we're looking for, then we obviously look for someone else.
Yeah.
But always their performances select themselves. They always say, but the coach didn't select me. But if you don't perform, then how can we select you?
And the cool thing, of course, for the Olympics and World Cup, the senior players can play. It's not like the men's game where it's under 23 and you can only have a certain amount of age players.
Yeah, I think that's great, especially in the women's game. I don't think there's enough competitions.
In any case,
in the women's game, there was talk of making the women's game an under 23 tournament. Because a lot of the players at the lower level or just coming out of the under 20s, some make it to the seniors, some needs a little bit of time, and those tournaments will really help.
Now, your excitement for this New Zealand Australia World Cup, coach?
Look,
achieving that.
Look, when we qualified, we were really excited, but we knew we still had a couple of games because there was another goal that we wanted to reach. But just going to your second World Cup, I think it's big.
Yeah.
Especially with us bidding for 2027.
Yeah.
We needed to be at the World Cup, and I think the excitement went on throughout the night, and then the next day we just prepared for the next game.
And for that World Cup 2027, I'm gonna get to it, coach. Thanks for mentioning it. I've got some interesting questions to ask you there, because you can't be an ambassador because you'll be coaching, right? We're gonna get there. You went to New Zealand, Australia, of course, for the draw as well. How was that? How was that experience? I mean, you didn't just go one day.
No, look, it was really exciting. We had to attend a couple of workshops.
Yeah.
I was on a panel for one of the workshops with the coaches as well. And that was really exciting because, the challenges that they faced, the time difference, etc. The manager went to different ones as well. The media officer went to different ones as well to be able to just get everything right. Because the World Cup, there's a lot of deadlines,
And so many rules.
And so many rules. So they needed to go to these different workshops and then obviously the draw happened and we were sitting there and the draw happened. But just getting together with all the coaches again, was really exciting. And I think if you look at it, there's a lot of female coaches as well, which is really good for the game.
Cool,
really good for the game.
And you've been drawn against. I mean, first of all, does it impact you in any way in your preparations that there's going to be a time difference?
Look, we've sort of looked at it, and having been there for the draw, it was a killer for me because the whole time I was there, I struggled to sleep. Players were also coming from different places.
Parts of the world,
different parts of the world, and some will have more impact than others. But we plan to go there early, just to make sure that we get over the jet lag. The first 5 to 6 days will be difficult because there's not a lot you can do. Because of the jet lag, and as it gets better and better.
This time around, coach, drawn against Argentina, Italy, Sweden. The Umjaka, looking at this now, can see a win or an opportunity against Argentina. Italy, Sweden, you've got experience against them. There it's touch and go, but are you looking at it the same way? Of course, I want to look at it that way because, you want Banyana to, you know what I mean? Every World Cup, you want the build-up. So this is no pressure on you, of course. And we know the realities and the differences in quality in the game. This is just me looking at it. I'm like, if there is a team that's beatable.
Look, I think it's a reasonable draw.
Yeah.
We could have got Spain and Japan.
Yeah.
We could have got the USA and Netherlands.
Yeah.
We could have got France and Brazil.
Yeah.
So in that way, I look at it as a reasonable draw.
Yeah.
Sweden has been fantastic over the last year and a half. Yeah. But we know a lot of them because we've played them so often.
Yep.
They still have the same coach. So we don't see anything different.
Yeah.
Italy was at the last World Cup. Didn't do that well at the Euros though. But this is the World Cup.
Yeah.
Argentina was at the last World Cup. Did really well at the last World Cup as well for coming in as one of the newer teams.
Yeah.
But we will do our homework, and make sure that we get opposition similar to that to prepare because it's going to be that important. We already have a lot of footage on a lot of the games and we're just sitting together working out, an analysis on it. I already have a huge analysis at home that I have to consistently go through and change as they play more regularly, getting closer to the tournament. But we know exactly what we're up against. The first game is obviously Sweden. It's a big game for us, and
one out the way.
the first games in the tournament is a big one. Then obviously we play Argentina, and then Italy. Having been to our first World Cup and this one being the second one, we're not naive. But we also have ambition. And nothing is impossible. The Men's World Cup have shown. If you go there well prepared, if you organize, if you're well structured, if you're in a good physical shape, then anything is possible. And the president has said that it's possible for us to get out of the group stages.
You see, it's not only me. It's not only me, coach. The last World Cup was definitely not easy. I mean, as you said, you got Germany, you got Spain, and you got China. I mean, these teams, right at the beginning of women's football revolution, in the national teams, they were there, and actually they were there amongst the contenders early on, in the early stages of women's football. So these are teams with a tradition of.
You look at Spain. It was only their second World Cup, but if you look at the game, how it's evolved. The U17 and U20 are winners of the World Cup. And it shows that the investment that they put into the game. But we had a plan. For 45 minutes, that plan was perfect. And we were sitting with Coach Tina, and I was saying, the minute we hit 70, we're going to change. We're going to play on the counter. And just before that, VAR came. VAR came, and that was the one game that we felt, we analysed it really well, and there Shalene Boyson was perfect in the analysis. What their strengths and their weaknesses were. Then the rest of the games became a final. Which was extremely difficult.
And comparing that experience and these teams to the group that you got, you do fancy?
Look, it's different. It's different kinds of teams. But you don't go to a competition just to go.
Just to go, yeah.
You go to a competition to compete.
Yeah.
And I think this team has matured tremendously over the last 4 years. Yeah. If you look at what we did at the Aisha Buhari Cup in Nigeria, I think that showed how the team had matured. We only seen some of our overseas-based players in 2021 for the first time since 2019 due to COVID. So we didn't regularly have them. That was the first time we saw some of our players. Some of the players were not available, obviously, but we just carried on, And then the WAFCON was the big one for us. We had prepared really well. And then we had challenges during WAFCON. Tembi getting injured. And I think the whole country went into mourning and thought, oh goodness, what's happening now? But I said at the beginning when I select the squad that you were choosing a squad for every eventuality. Having learned from what happened in 2018 when Refilwe had to leave early, Leandra got injured. Banyana couldn't take a penalty, Leandra couldn't take. So we wanted to make sure. Then we also had COVID. But I've never felt so connected to a team and so united to a team because at the beginning when I asked the senior players, what are your ambitions? Jermaine was adamant, we want to win this. I love that. I said, there's a small matter of qualifying for the World Cup first. He said, no, if we win this, we go through. Janine spoke about the experience and I said, it's good to have the experience, but they've got to add value. Otherwise, it's just experience. But Tembi was the game changer. She said, if you get 1 minute, let it be your best. If you get 5, let it be your best. And if you're on the bench, then become the biggest cheerleader. And she became our biggest cheerleader.
Oh, man. Amazing. That was just our next topic. Let's go to a break and encourage you to stick to your limits. Always check your balance and plan wisely. Bet without regrets. This is a message by Supabets. We want you to enjoy playing. So play without regret, bet without regret. Stick to your limits indeed. Coach, you talked about the amazing chemistry within the team building up to WAFCON. That's the next segment, WAFCON was something of amazing, as you said, I think everybody fancied Banyana's chances at this, from the experience of losing. There's something in losing that a lot of teams learn. You can go to basketball, you can go to football, anything. Losing in a final drives you, or you can either collapse. And I think in this case, because the team was kept together for so long, everybody started to believe and felt closer. They had more knowledge about the individual players as well. But you lose Tembi.
It was an unfortunate incident though. We wanted to get the combination of Tembi and Jermaine going. We were always going to play the two of them up front. Gabriella got injured before the tournament, so we almost changed our minds. And in the first game before the tournament, we had some training and just things were just not, when you get that feeling that it's not there. And then we made a positional change and we put Linda in, we put Noxie in. And then, wow, it was just something else. And I said, look, I'm not announcing the team tonight. I'll announce it tomorrow because I needed to just have a look at it again.
Let it simmer.
Ask Linda, can you give us 45 minutes? Because Linda had arrived late and she said yes. And after 60, she said, I'm okay. But by the end of the game against Nigeria, she was finished,
Amazing,
Then through that, we took it step by step. And we also in the tournament tried to manage the load because we couldn't secure any friendlies leading up to that, whereas everybody else was playing. And some of the friendlies in Morocco, we had to travel hours and we didn't want to do that. So we just trusted ourselves and trained amongst ourselves. And then we got to the Botswana game and Jermaine then got injured. We took off immediately and then Tembi. And I think, you could see on Tembi's face, but then afterwards we got the news that she was out of the tournament. And the mood was a bit somber at training. And I reminded them, this is why we chose you. And the message that Tembi put in the group, this happens to the best of us. And, we still have a goal to qualify for World Cup. We still have a goal to win this and we can still go on and win this. And then the next game, obviously the quarterfinal match, which I thought could be, a one that could,
yeah.
could not go our way because we haven't played in a tournament to test it yet. And prior to that, we had COVID in camp, so we were really concerned, but the players were magnificent. I thought our defense really held out, even though we could have, finished that game in the first half with all the chances we had. Then the Zambia one, we know such a lot of each other, and I thought they started really well. Hilda had gotten injured and hadn't recovered, and then Hilda was on the bench, and we asked her after 45 minutes. Coach Tina went to her and said, "Are you ready?" She said, "Yes." So we brought her on, and we knew she's fresh. So we brought her on. Got an earlier penalty that was overturned, and then got another one, and Linda was not going to miss from there at that time. And you can't speak about the final and want to win the final and you're not in the final. And then we watched the game, and and we saw that it's Morocco. And I got a call from someone that used to work at SAFA, Daryl Kutris, and he said, "Remember 2015 when we went to Equatorial Guinea?"
Yes.
He said it was just a sea of red. Remember, it was a sea of red, and we went out there and we won that game 1-0. And I still read up, and I saw the 2 times that Banyana was in the final when Nigeria was not there.
Yes.
They lost to the host, and I actually said, "Lord, this is not going to happen." It's not going to happen. We had a plan. We knew how they played. We knew that the stadium was going to be packed out. We knew that the lasers were going to be there. We knew the lasers were going to be there and everything else. And before we even got to the field, you could see on social media that it was packed out. When we were driving, they gave us a thumbs up and thumbs down. And when we got in, and when they went onto the pitch for the pitch inspection, they didn't walk onto the pitch. They sang onto the pitch. They sang. But prior to that, our team meeting, when they came to our team meeting, they had the speaker. I almost didn't want to have a team meeting, and then and then obviously the game. And we had
a party,
and we had a game plan. We could have scored early, but we stopped them completely from playing. Then we got these 2 quick goals, and we were in complete control. And then we made the error, and they back into the game, and then 9 minutes. Oh my goodness. It was the longest of my life. I kept saying to the assistant coach, and kept looking back to her every minute. I kept saying, "Coach T, how many minutes?" It went from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4. And eventually, I think there was pandemonium. There was crying. There was praying. There was hugging. Because I just think, we've worked towards this. I'm not saying that other teams didn't, but we've worked towards this. There's been a heartache for 5 finals, coming very close in 2018. And then having beaten Nigeria in the Aisha Buhari Cup, we knew, we were on the right track. But we just needed to stay calm and collected. And after every game we celebrated, and then we prepared for the next game, and the celebrations went on throughout the night. It was the most amazing feeling. My phone was just going crazy. And I thought I wasn't going to answer this now.
I saw your celebration. Yes, man. Yes, man. And I swear to God, you were saying something different behind that. Your mouth was not moving like yes, man. But you could see your
No, it was, let me tell you, it was just crazy scenes. And they promised the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, the day before, they promised him on Zoom that they were going to bring back the trophies. And they promised him.
That's what's up,
so it was really fantastic.
I'm sure there's some boxes you can tick as well as a former player in that team. You came close. You always had Nigeria in your time.
Yes.
And as you said, after that it was Equatorial Guinea. The other one was it Ghana?
We lost twice to
Equatorial Guinea. Oh, actually, when they had a good run, a good group actually. And both times,
we lost to them in the final.
Nigeria was not the enemy anymore. To finally, us as we watch other sports, we say not like the cricket, because they can't get over that hurdle, and it probably was gonna.
Look, we had a mental coach.
I
think that really helped us in a way. Because there's a lot of clutter in your head. There's a lot of expectations. Everybody putting pressure on you. I think it's already pressure coming into the national team.
In any case,
but more pressure than anything else, and I think that really helped. Because the players were so focused all the time.
With the lack of activity, in terms of friendlies or smaller tournaments, yes, there's COSAFA, and COSAFA. I've noticed that you treat COSAFA as experiential.
Look, COSAFA is the first point for international football for our players because it's in your region. So we normally use local-based players because the whole tournament is not in the FIFA date. So getting players released and then having to release them before you get to... I mean, it doesn't make sense then to go with a lesser team, and it's an opportunity to give experience to others and to make our core group bigger. So we always use the COSAFA Cup for that.
I think it came in handy because Noxie and them...
I mean, she was a superstar in 2019.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was a superstar in 2019.
So they came through those channels. And of course, we also noticed that it's not as consistent. You're not dominating all the time in COSAFA. Is that something that worries you?
No, you look, sometimes the teams that we play against come better prepared.
Okay.
Like in 2020, the Malawi was aggressive but was super fit. Mozambique the same, Angola the same. Sometimes the teams don't come that well prepared. And then it looks as if the tournament goes like this. But you as the team have to go there well prepared. You can't think that someone's not coming there well prepared. But you have so little time sometimes to prepare the team prior to that. But also with the players that you have, we don't change the way we play. But in 2020, the analysis was very key for us because there was COVID. We had no football. And we went in with this new group, and yet we still won the tournament. It was just making players understand what they're facing and who they're facing. And that really, really helped us.
Man, let's get another promo going here. What have you got for you? A price boost. Price boost, Juventus versus Atalanta. Not going too well for Juventus. They got a shocker against Napoli. But they probably are desperate to get back into this game. Atalanta scored 5 goals, was it? They demolished their opposition. I think they scored 5 goals against Sassuolo, if I'm not correct. 7 goals. There we go. I got Coach Des here. 7 goals. So it's 2 teams. One is desperate to win. One is on a roll and would want to continue and get back to Europe again. That's Atalanta. So that's your price boost. Get betting. Remember, bet without regret. Coach, now, the influence of the Super League. It's come at the right time as Banyana are really becoming. I mean, I'm going to put it up as almost like destiny. You come into the team, obviously as a former captain. Now you go as assistant coach for a foreign coach. And then the foreign coach leaves, and now you go into the position that you were being built for, And then the league, the Super League comes now. Something that you've been trying for when you were playing. It's now there. You guys start winning. How's the vibe as now the head coach? You're sitting back and you're watching and saying, there's a league, national team. Wow. There were 30 women playing football. Then now there's hundreds.
Look, before you even go to the Super League, the national, the SASA League that's out there, that has been the bedrock of development, the bedrock of selecting players. Now you get the higher league, and it's not where we want to be, because the ultimate is a professional league, of course. But it's a step in the right direction, and I think if you look at the first year, you look at the second year, the third year. There's been huge improvements.
Absolutely.
Huge improvements.
Absolutely.
You look at professional clubs now taking teams on board. I think that's going to take it to a different level. But we still need the likes of the Chiefs and the Pirates, the London Pirates, to come on board because they're a brand on their own and they can bring more brands along. You see, and I think the football can only improve. I think when you play the likes of the TUT, JVW, Mamelodi Sundowns, UWC, UJ, etc., you get really top quality football.
You do.
The challenge is the bottom lot of teams. They've got to raise their levels because the intensity needs to be at a level where we at internationally. And sometimes the intensity is not there. So when players come into the national team, they struggle a bit. They struggle a bit because of that lack of intensity. When players come in, we ask them, what do they want to get out of it? And after the first training session, we call them back. The first thing they say, they've never been or faced the intensity that they face here. And even more so when the overseas-based players come, because it might go like this. When they come, it goes like that. Now you can't trap a ball anymore. Now you can't prostrate anymore because everything happens 10, 12 times, maybe 20 times quicker. And that is sometimes what happens to us when we play
The top,
the top
yes.
teams. Things happen so much quicker, and we got to learn to control that better.
Yeah.
We got to learn to minimize our mistakes more, and then we'll be better for that because we're always going to create chances.
Coach, I'm sorry to put you on this spot, but you know you can dodge this question if you want. We had this question. We had this discussion in the men's game. You know, the smaller teams not catching up to Sundowns, who are dominating at the moment, and then Sundowns being criticized for not playing fair. You know, which is something I don't agree with, because I don't think it's a financial thing. You know, when I analyze, because I look at the game and I'm like, but you know, Golden Arrows, for instance, cannot point fingers at Sundowns. They've also been there as long. You know, maybe the Marumo Gallants and the, maybe you know the teams that came yesterday, but most of these teams have got a track record, you know, to prove. You know, I'm gonna flip it to the women's game and say, because also I watched it from the beginning, I feel sad. I encourage the men's teams to have women's teams adopt or start their own. You know, shout out to TS Galaxy. You know, because it does bring the spotlight on it. But I also feel sad because I see it in Germany as well. The teams that actually were the bedrock of women's football. You know, Winnie Ladies in Gugulethu, Cape Town Roses, Spurs in Gugulethu in Cape Town. You know, those teams. What happens with them? Do they now linger in the regional leagues, Sasol, and never get to the Super League? You know what I mean? So these are the other robust conversations that must be had. I don't know if you've given it thought in that, as much as it's welcome that those teams must come, but remember also how much work and sweat and blood and sacrifice the other small teams have made, you know, to get to this level. For sponsors to wait for the big guys to come first before they work with these guys to go up.
Look, it's unfortunate. You know, Durban Ladies had also been there for so long.
You know?
Eventually they got into the National League. You know, the same with Cape Town Roses, same with Spurs. It's unfortunate that it came now, the new league, and not then. So it's up to them also to get themselves back up to that level. And I know they can. You know, Mr. Madikani, he's always produced these youngsters. And hopefully they've had the experience of playing a couple of the Sassy leagues. The same with Spurs, my former team, by the way. You know, back in the day, we were very strong. Now they're coming through with a lot of youngsters. They had the playoff against Dangerous Heroes, who then represented the Western Cape.
That was intense.
So the teams that have been there, you know, you've got to earn that right. You know, it's not because you've been there, you know, that you automatically have to be in there. But they still have the quality to get back up there and be part of it. Because when you look at the teams that come to the playoffs, maybe they're just a little bit better prepared. Maybe they just have one or two more quality players. But for them to get back on, they just got to sort themselves out and get back to where they were. You know, with the players that they both have young teams. With the players that they have, with the experience that they've gained, you know, over the last 2-3 years, hopefully those players will step up now.
And of course, the institutions are coming through big time.
Oh,
Tax is up now as well to join TUT, to join Bush.
They have the resources though. They have the resources, and you cannot deny a player an opportunity to advance and invest in themselves. You know, getting a bursary, because I think education is key, and that's what a lot of people forget. You're not going to play the sport forever, and you've got to find that balance between education and football. But I think education is before football, because the football that you have brings you into the education, and the education is for life after football if you're not going the professional way. So they have the resources, and because of the bursary, you cannot deny an individual that opportunity, and it showed in the league. You know, with TUT, with UWC, and then of course with UJ ending up there. Now you have Tax coming in, and they have the resources likewise. They were magnificent at the playoffs. And
what happened to Northwest, man?
Unfortunately, they didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't win it. I think I've seen with the roadshow. They also back to getting where they were.
Where they were,
We all know of the Alspak Tawana,
yeah.
so they're getting back to where they were. And I think the recruitment is key.
Yeah.
The recruitment is key.
It's gonna be key,
It's very important that it's how you recruit to get your team back to a certain level.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the league to start.
Oh, let's get another price boost going here for the people. This weekend, a big one. Liverpool up against Chelsea. Desperate to keep up and get back into the European positions. Both teams not going too well this season. I don't know how you want to place your bets there. Second half draw. I don't know, hey. Both teams are really struggling there, coach. Eh?
Yeah, no, they are. I think when you change players, you change coaches, things are not going to happen automatically.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, coaches are sometimes not given enough time.
Yeah.
Changing players, maybe also change the way you play.
Yeah.
Liverpool were a team that placed very high, and I think their money was very key.
Yeah.
And not having money there.
Firmino,
too many changes.
Firmino also older.
They can't press as high as they used to press, and that was key in the game.
Yeah.
That was key in the game. Chelsea getting a new coach, and I think that's also a transition. But that's what makes the game so beautiful, man.
That's what makes this game so beautiful. Your players are also all over the world now, coach. You even discovering an English-born South African player. How is that? How is that at the moment? How are you managing, having so many now all of a sudden?
Look, I stay in contact, especially with the players that are in the national team.
Yeah.
Especially when Jermaine scores a goal, I always reminded to keep some for Banyana. But it's fantastic to see the players all going there and doing really well. I think the good ambassadors for the country.
Yeah.
But besides being good ambassadors, they open the door for others because of what they do.
Yeah. Because you can see now there's so many now.
Yes, and I think that's exciting for us. They use the World Cup to be able to get opportunities like this, and hopefully, the World Cup can create more opportunities for others. So I try to stay in contact. I try to watch the games. The players will send me links if they can. Otherwise, I go searching for it.
How's the admin? Because I can tell you, like you just said now, if you guys are playing a friendly in Equatorial Guinea, shoo, coach. One is coming from Mexico. How are you going to manage that? You're going to call maybe the European-based ones?
We try to find out or to stay in contact with what they're doing, and we try to manage when they travel.
Okay.
How much training they do to keep them fresh, not to overload them, because we don't only have to manage the sleep fatigue, but also the travel fatigue.
Of course.
So we've got to manage both, and it's just by interacting as well, because players can tell you how they're feeling.
Yeah.
It's most important to take care of their well-being, because at the end of the day, they'll give you what is needed for the national team. But it's a challenge though.
Yeah.
Because Hilda's in South Korea, Jermaine is in Mexico. Playing in Europe is similar.
Yeah.
But, playing that side of the world is completely different.
And, do you have your 40 players in your head yet? You guys have kept a group going for quite a time, and I think they've got years in them still. It must be tough for you at the moment.
You have no idea.
Must be tough.
You have no idea how tough it is. But we got a core group, but we cannot close the door to anyone else.
Of course.
The door's always open.
Yeah.
For players to wow us. I think that is the word we're looking for.
Yeah.
To wow us, more important than anything else. The door's never been closed to anyone.
Yeah.
We cannot close the door. It's a national team. But obviously you have a core group that you look at,
senior leadership and senior,
yes, you have that group that you look at. But like I said to them after WAFCON, if you think WAFCON is it, then you're in for a rude awakening. And the rude awakening was Brazil and Australia. Because that's the level we're going to. Either you go with us on our journey, or we drop you off somewhere. We might pick you up along the way, or someone else comes into the team. So when it's World Cup here, many players raise their hands, and we're going to try to take the best team to the World Cup.
And at the moment, what's Desiree's daily routine at the moment? Let's say, what you're going to be doing until maybe the end of March?
I think analyzing. When we also select the squads and the teams, we have different scenarios of different formations that we play. So we put that down. It's not just putting a list of names down. is putting that down, looking at the opposition, what you need. So putting the players in the different formations that we play. And we don't have all our bases covered. We've got to bring in someone that's not there or that we haven't put down. So that's what we're trying to do, find as much out as we can about the opposition, because we can't wait until then. As much as we can, and we already have analysis. So I say, like I said, as they play, we will update it with more information that we have. And our performance analyst Mpo has been magnificent in that. He's been really proactive in all of that, getting us the information that we want. Because even though we're not in camp, we regularly,
of course, you have to.
We're regularly interacting, and I think as much as we know, we can plan and prepare better.
And relationship with the coaches in the Super League?
I think when we once before we had a Zoom where we couldn't meet, and just explaining to them what it is that we do in camp, how they can help us, because they don't realize how important they are. You know, they work with the players 7 days a week. We work with the players 5 days before camp. So what they do is a great help for us.
Difference.
You know, what they do is a great help for us. And we know one of our challenges is obviously scoring goals. So we've always urged them to work on that, but in an environment where you're under pressure. Because some of the times we see in the league, a player runs through, nobody chases the player, the goalkeeper stands on the line. It doesn't happen like that realistically. You almost have to score the same time you get the ball. So they have to help us in that way, and their help has been magnificent, because this WAFCON victory is not just ours. You know, it's theirs as well, for the role that they play, and we urge them and thank them for that. So when I go to the games, you know, after the games, I will chat to the coaches, you know, ask about certain players, and we'll talk about different things, you know, but that is all we can do to get that, you know, that interaction going, because it's very important to have that communication with the coaches.
And anything you'd like the South African public to know about the World Cup 2023 happening July 20th is the kickoff date. We're about 180 days away now. You know, we'll be celebrating 150, 100 days as we go. So anything you want the public to know about the World Cup, what you want from them, you know, before they tell you what they want from you.
I know what they want. I know what they want.
Sure.
The most important thing is the support,
and
to get behind the team. I think that was so key at WAFCON, even though they were not there. We felt the praise. We felt the praise. We felt the support. We felt the messages. All we need is the support. All we need is to know that they're behind us 100%. That, I think, is the important thing. And we will go out there and do our best, like we always do. We will go our best. We will go out there and do our best and put our best foot forward. We know what the public wants, and we will try to get the answers to the public.
Not from me, from Coach Des herself, of course. That's it. That's Coach Des, Banyana head coach, former Banyana player, legend in South African football, and of course, a very nice lady from Cape Town as well. A home girl of mine, of course, if I can say so. My name is Umjaka. Thank you for joining us at the Supabets right now, of course, on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so that you can get an alert the next time we drop another On the Couch with Umjaka, powered by Supabets. My name is Umjaka. Dlala mdlalo, mhlaba wako.